What's up everybody, it's Seth from Fowler Customs, and today I went sneaker shopping around Soho, and the first spot I hit was Kith. It's honestly one of my favorite sneaker stores, if not my favorite. They always have crazy stuff. I'm sure you spotted that NMD R2 White Mountaineering. That's a pretty dope shoe. I got a pair a little while back. Also the Beige Ultra Boost Uncaged, a pair that I like the look of, but not a pair I'm planning to grab. I just don't feel like I need it. Of course they had the Stan Smith Boost soles, and then they had the Prime Knit Stan Smith Boost, which I think is a little bit too much of everything. I'm not a huge fan of that. It's just like trying too hard to be the Ultra Boost, and I don't love it. Of course, I hit up the Jordan wall. They had a pretty decent selection of stuff. They had the new Air Jordan 11 lows. 2 years ago, this shoe would have, sold out instantly. There would have been no way this shoe was sitting anywhere. It's honestly a really good-looking shoe. I just don't feel like I need it. Another one of those Air Jordans that would have sold out a couple years ago, the $400 pair of 5s. Way too expensive, but not a bad-looking shoe. Next up, I hit up the Adidas store on Broadway in Houston. It's actually the only Adidas store in Soho that carries Ultra Boost. The Adidas Original store doesn't actually carry Ultra Boost because technically they're not Adidas Originals. But as you can tell, there's a pretty good selection. They have this pair, this sort of light gray pair. I forget what it's called. Maybe it's like a premium Ultra Boost. I really love that leather cage, and I really love that heel tab. They also had the black pair with the sort of perforated heel tab. Both pairs are nice. I actually almost picked up that gray pair. It's been sitting there for about 2 or 3 weeks. Then there's the second triple black 3.0, which honestly I'm really not a fan of. I feel like if a shoe is supposed to be triple black, it should be all black, not this sort of like zebra black thing going on. Really don't love it. Then they had the color Ultra Boost Uncaged, and out of the 2 color Ultra Boosts that just released, this is probably my favorite. I don't love the caged version as much. I think it's too much going on. This is still a little busy and a little out there, but it's only like 3 colors, so I can handle it. And then they had the gray multicolor Ultra Boost Uncaged, which isn't really a multicolor shoe. I don't know why they call it the multicolor, but it's not really a multicolor. They had a great selection of Pure Boosts, a lot of different colors, great shoe. They always have a pretty decent basketball selection. They have the Dame 3s, they have the Harden 1s, they have this Dame 3 in this really nice sort of white, cream, and gum colorway, which I think is sick. Definitely a solid budget shoe. If you're looking for a shoe that's, under 120 bucks, that's probably the way to go. I went upstairs to their NMD section. They always have a pretty good selection up here. I was surprised to see that they actually had the NMD City Sock 2s in the Ronin colorway. That's a colorway I haven't seen sitting a lot of places, and it's definitely a dope shoe. So if you guys are looking and you guys are in New York, it's right there. Go grab it. They also had a bunch of the other NMD R2 colorways. I actually almost bought this red and black colorway because I kind of like the way it looks. Red was always one of my favorite colors, and I think this is a pretty clean shoe. One thing that I noticed was they also had the white and the red sole version of the R2s, and the difference between this version and then that red one above it is that this one actually has a separate tongue, which honestly I don't like visually as much, but I like for functionality. I think it's actually easier to put on and get a good fit around your foot. I think it's a really dope shoe. They also had, I guess it's the Tubular Invader is what they're calling it. I forget the exact name. This was different and kind of interesting to me because I haven't seen them do this in like a mesh before. I don't really love it, but I don't mind the colors. They had a nice display with all the NMDs on their mannequins. You had the R1s and the R2s. Nice looking shoes for sure. That was pretty much it for that Adidas store. Like I said, if you're ever looking for Ultra Boost and you're in the city, either hit up this Adidas store on Broadway in Houston or hit up the Adidas store on 5th Avenue, which I'm actually going to do tomorrow to try and see if they still have the reigning champs, because a couple people tweeted me and said that they've seen them there, so gotta hit up that store to just see what's going on. And whenever I'm in the area, I gotta hit up the Adidas Original store, which is only about 3 or 4 blocks from that Adidas store that I was just at. These guys have a lot more NMDs and they have a bit more clothing, which I think is nice. They have a really great selection of clothing there. They did have all the NMDs that just released, every single colorway. If you're looking for any of those colorways, hit up this store. This is the NMD R1 in that red and black colorway, which honestly, I'm kind of over the NMD R1s. They're definitely a dope shoe, and I like the mesh pair that I have, but I've only ever had one pair, and I've never felt like I needed another, so kind of done with those for a while, and maybe forever. Maybe they'll update them eventually, but right now, I'm done. This was the first time I'd seen the Tubular Shadow in this new, like, textured upper. Online, I thought it was plastic, like I thought it was little pieces of plastic on the upper. I don't know why I thought that, but it's actually leather that's kind of folded over on top of itself. It's an interesting look. This right here, though, is one of the ugliest Adidas shoes that I've seen in a long time. I don't know why you buy this or why it's even on display. I think it's total trash. They did have this guy here, which I really like, that sort of staticky primate that they've done on the other Reigning Champ collaboration. I think that looks awesome. They did something similar on this other pair of Tubulars, which I think is great. Nice looking pair of shoes. They had a bunch of Climacools on display, a bunch of different colorways, and the only reason I was even looking at these guys is because I'm actually interested in the Climacool 2017s that are supposed to come out sooner than later. Then I hit up the Alexander Wang section because I've been doing a bunch of collabs with them. And to my surprise, they actually had all 4 of the sneakers that dropped this weekend, both in the white and cream colorway and the gray and black colorway. I actually ordered the gray and black online. I think I prefer the white pair or even that black pair that came out a couple weeks ago. But to be honest, when I saw these in person, I was kind of bummed out because online they look a lot better than they did in person. And I'm sure it's just because there's no like stuffing inside them, so they look really flat. But there was just something about them that I just really didn't like. So I'm getting this pair in on Wednesday, I believe. I'll probably put out a review on the same night, so we'll see what I think then, but who knows. Of course, they had the skate shoes, which this burgundy pair I actually really dig. I think it's a really dope silhouette. I don't think it's worth $200. I realize it's a designer shoe, but personally, like, I'm not going to spend $200 on a shoe that, you know, in my opinion, isn't as nice looking as a $50 pair of Vans. That's just me, though. But then I decided, you know, it's lunchtime. I got to grab some Chipotle. Chipotle is my go-to for lunch. This isn't sponsored. I wish it was because then I'd be getting free Chipotle. But seriously, my favorite place to eat. I go there probably 3 or 4 times a week. I was going to say day, but I've actually gone there twice in the same day, which is not great, but delicious. And the last place I hit up was the Nike store on Broadway. It's their flagship store. It's like 5 stories of shoes. It's crazy. The bottom floor, of course, right now is dedicated to their Air Max and Vapor Maxes, primarily their Vapor Maxes. That's what they set up for Air Max Day. Definitely a dope setup. So after the first floor being for Vapor Maxes, the second floor is like their lifestyle sort of Air Max stuff, which is the floor I'm actually walking past right now. And then the third floor is their women's, I think, running or soccer or something, I'm not sure. And then the final floor, I skipped a couple, but the final floor is the Jordan and basketball floor, which is everyone's favorite. Definitely a dope setup. They have a basketball court if you want to try out shoes. The Jordan wall usually here is full of stuff that would surprise you, like random restocks. Today it was only, you know, the 11 lows. And like I said before, I'm not blown away that they're sitting. I'm just kind of more disappointed in Jordan Brand for somehow being able to kill the hype on a shoe that, I mean, was almost impossible to grab a couple years ago. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. This, of course, was the deconstructed Air Jordan 1 in this pink colorway. The price on the deconstructed Air Jordan 1s is like $123. I know why they did it. I just think it's a stupid price. Then, of course, you had these 13 lows. Nice looking shoe for sure. Then you had the Air Jordan 31s that dropped with the Air Jordan 1 Royals. They did the same thing with the Breads last year. They dropped a pair of 31s. One thing I liked about this was that the faux leather area on the back of the 31s is actually tumbled like it was on the Royals, which I think was a nice touch. They have a really nice display too with the 31s and the Royals together. Nike has a killer retail display team. They always do a great job. I'm always blown away by it. They always kill it, for sure. Then I hit up the basketball wall. Nothing too crazy. They had some PG ones. I like this white and gum colorway. I do like the snakeskin or crocodile skin texture they added on the back of the shoe. It's definitely kind of fake and plasticky to the touch, but it looks pretty nice, and I like how such a cheap budget model actually tries to innovate with textures, and I think that's awesome. I think it's one of their best signature models in a really long time. They also had this black and blue version, I mean, just like the LeBron 14s that dropped a couple months ago. Definitely a clean looking shoe. I'm not a fan of translucent rubber on Nike basketball shoes, but it is what it is. I'm sure it performs okay. They had that new red LeBron colorway and a bunch of other LeBrons. You know, not a bad shoe, but not my favorite. They had the foams, which I'm pretty sure were sold out just about everywhere else, and I guess they got a small restock. They had the LeBron 14s that were obviously inspired by the Air Mags. Actually, one of my favorite LeBron 14 colorways. I think it's super clean. I think that colorway in general is really clean, whether or not you think about the Air Mags when you look at it. They also had the new Kobe's with the Shroud. They're not a bad looking shoe, and I'm sure they perform okay, but I'm not a huge fan of the little like lace dongles that hang off of it. And for $200, this would not be the basketball shoe I would go with, for sure. They had the Kobe AD in the Oregon colorway, which honestly I'm surprised was sitting. A couple years ago, like I said before about some other shoes, this would have been gone. But I'm not really surprised because Nike's just been not lagging, because obviously they're still the best-selling sportswear brand in the world, but Adidas is really picking up that hype. I mean, you can't deny it. But like I said before, this store is massive, and that was pretty much it for my sneaker shopping today. I didn't grab anything, but hopefully when I go to the Adidas store in a couple days, I'll be able to pick up the reigning champs. So I'll see you guys then. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow Fowler Customs on Snups, Instagram, and on Twitter.